channel. My name is Rochelle and this is Mama Mentality. For today's video, I wanted to give you guys information on what to expect when buying a vehicle here in Japan, and also what it's like with the process moving off base. So I decided to wear this shirt for today's video because this is exactly how I'm feeling about finally having a home, finally having a vehicle to drive, and really just getting settled here in Okinawa. It's been quite the process, and there were moments that were very stressful and very anxiety provoking, but we made it through and we are finally able to take some time to enjoy the island and enjoy this new experience. So to begin with, I really just wanted to give you some helpful information that I wish I knew before going through this whole process. Because I feel like there is a lot of resources available for us, but at the same time, there are a lot of things that we kind of just have to figure out on our own. As far as buying a vehicle goes, we chose to buy a vehicle from service members that were preparing to leave the island, and we chose to go that route mainly because if you're gonna buy from a dealership here, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive versus buying a vehicle from a service member. I'm not really familiar with the process of buying a vehicle from a dealership, so the information that I'm giving you is really just based off of my own personal experience. So one of the first steps, of course, is making sure that you pass your driver's test and get your license. If you haven't seen my last video, I shared a couple of links to prepare for the driving test, but I will actually provide a study guide that I made on my own, and you can just screenshot it whenever you're watching this video. Something that I wasn't aware of was that you can't buy a vehicle without the service member having their SOFA license. I thought that because I had my SOFA license, then I was able to buy a vehicle. But basically, because we are here under the active duty service member, we pretty much can't do anything without them. The reason why we came across this obstacle was because I actually got my license before my husband, because he had to go through an additional process to take the test. So we assumed that if I got my license taken care of first, we were able to buy a vehicle right after. But we found out the hard way whenever we went to the registration office, and we were told that we can't buy a vehicle unless we have the sponsor's SOFA license. So that is just, that may have just been information that we didn't receive, but I'm just making it clear that yes, the service member has to have their SOFA license before anyone can buy a vehicle, because it goes under their name. So once you have your license, the way that we went about purchasing a vehicle was going on all of the Facebook groups that are provided. There's used cars in Okinawa, even like the yard sale pages people post whenever they're selling a vehicle. We really just used Facebook as our main source to find a vehicle. We checked every single day, and we were very patient about what we were looking for. We didn't want to purchase something impulsively and find out later that that probably wasn't the best fit. Some suggestions that I have when you're searching for a vehicle: make sure that the JCI, which I don't even know what it stands for, forgot what it stands for. Make sure that the JCI, it doesn't expire no less than 1 or 2 years later, because sometimes people will post their vehicles for sale when the JCI expires in like 2 or 3 months, and it turns out that there was something wrong with the vehicle that you have to pay additionally for, and you don't find out until later, and it's just not helpful. But I promise there are always people selling their vehicles, because there are always people coming and going, so you will find a vehicle if you choose to go the route of purchasing from a service member. I know a lot of people just decide to buy from a dealership because they're able to for sure know that it's in good condition. So once you find the vehicle that you want, then you can arrange a time to meet with the seller to take a look at the vehicle, to inspect it. You don't have to confirm that you're purchasing it unless you are 100% sure about it. So don't feel like you have to impulsively make a decision. And once that's done with, that's whenever you are able to go to the insurance and title transfer place and the registration office. So another mistake we made was we went to the insurance place first, not realizing that there were things we had to take care of at the registration office. So since we bought from fellow service members, they were able to go on base with us and complete everything that needs to be done. So what you will need if you buy from a service member, they'll go with you and they'll have their information, which is like the title, proof that they paid off the vehicle, all of that information. I can't name every single form, but they'll know what they need in order to sell their vehicle. And then the sponsor, whether that be your spouse or that be you will need to provide your military ID and a copy of your orders. And so what is taken care of at the registration office is obviously the registration. They also give you a letter of attorney, which is something that you will need to take to the insurance office to get insurance. So once you're done at the registration office, that's whenever you can go to the insurance office, which is walking distance on Camp Foster. At the insurance place, that's whenever you will need the letter of attorney, the copy of your orders, your SOFA license, your military ID, and you need to pay in cash to transfer the title, and that's going to be $45. The insurance you can pay using your card, and it's just a one-time payment for the entire year. You can choose to do more than 1 year, but just to start off, we paid for 1 year, and then of course they will notify you whenever you're due to renew your insurance. So that's a pretty fast process. So they process that information, and then within like 2 to 3 weeks, you go back to receive the actual paperwork. So once you're done with that, they can hand over the keys to you and you have your vehicle. This is such a relief, and it's the first step of really getting settled in. And for anyone who may be a little nervous or hesitant to drive here in Okinawa, for me, I actually was really nervous, and I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I highly suggest just practicing on base to begin with, just getting yourself acclimated to what it's like driving on the left side, having the blinker on the right hand side of you, and just really trying to gain the confidence of driving. I would suggest doing that on base, even if it's just in a parking lot. The first time I drove, I was literally just driving around a parking lot. But I promise, driving here in Okinawa is not that bad. Nobody drives very fast. Just keep in mind that there are so many people who are also new drivers who are trying to adapt to the change, and you're not alone in this. So now for off-base housing. This process was a little bit difficult, and I really want to make sure that I let you guys know that this is just based off of my personal experience, and everyone has a different experience with housing. So to begin with, of course, you know, if you've watched my last video or if you've already been in ROM, that you will do the housing brief. I did notice that they changed the rules to where you can't do the housing brief until you're done with ROM, which I think is pretty silly. But the housing brief is very simple, and honestly, I didn't take too much from it. The only reason why you need it is to give them like a confirmation that you took it. So one of the first things we did once we completed the housing brief, we went in person to the housing office to get going with the process of looking for housing. It's very easy for them to give you the runaround. So just again, like I said in my last video, just making sure that you're advocating for yourself, because this is very important. Even though you have a certain amount of time to find housing, you want to find something right away, because you don't want to be living in a hotel for an entire month, and sometimes that's the case. We were there for almost 3 weeks. So some of the paperwork that was taken care of for housing was really done by my husband, because he is the sponsor. So there are some things that I'm not too familiar with, but If you are an active duty member, then you'll know what needs to be done. So once you're done with the process of contacting housing, that's just really to confirm that you're going to be living off base. That's when you can start looking around. We did our own research. We used the totalokinawa.com, and I was looking and I found Central Housing, which I highly recommend. I highly suggest Central Housing. The people are very helpful and very considerate and will literally go above and beyond to help you. So I would highly suggest Central Housing. The realtor found us an apartment right away, and we came and looked at it. We really liked what we saw. We told her, don't show this house to anyone else because we are really interested in renting it. We just have to finish the paperwork, of course, through Kadena Housing. Once my husband received the okay from Kadena Housing that we can sign the lease and do all of that, we went ahead and finished that process. One thing that I will say is don't be afraid to negotiate the price. Don't be afraid to negotiate what's included, because they will be willing to help you out. Making sure that you are in contact with the moving company that is taking care of your express shipment and your HHG shipment is highly crucial, so you can schedule a time for them to come. It was actually very different compared to in the States, because they were actually here on time and it was a pretty fast process. Something that I wanted to mention about Kadena Housing is you have to schedule an appointment to go there and complete the paperwork. And this paperwork is really just like showing them your lease and having all of that information provided. The service member will know what he or she needs because that's part of like their check-in process. But something that I really want to make sure to let you know is make sure that you triple check the dates, the information, everything that are on these papers that is done by the worker at Kadena Housing, because for us, the person that was helping us put the wrong date of move-in, and because of that incorrect date, we almost didn't get compensated for the time that we stayed in the hotel. So luckily somebody had looked it over and saw that the date was incorrect, so my husband had to go back and get it fixed by Kadena Housing. So just make sure that you are just paying attention to the small little details, because it's very easy to overlook that and then we end up getting screwed in the end. So that was our experience with buying vehicles and the off-base housing process. If you would like for me to share a video on like an apartment tour, or if you want to see what it looks like where we live, let me know in the comments and I will be sure to give you guys a little tour and really just like our experience living off base. It really is a change of scenery for us, but we are really enjoying it. And if you have any other questions, please follow me on social media. I'm pretty active on Instagram, so if you want to send me a DM or if you have any questions, just let me know and I would be more than happy to help you. I'm really just trying to give as much information as possible to make this move a little bit easier for anyone who needs it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click the little bell notification so you can be notified when I post new videos. My name is Rochelle, this is Mama Mentality, and like always, I am sending love and light your way. Bye!